I just wanted to do justice to the necrophiles here. Like, do I care about some random person defiling the dead body of some other person who is like okay with it if it doesn't really cause anyone to be upset or create any like doesn't make any suffering? Not particularly. Do I want people to fuck my dead body? No, I'd rather you not. Do I want them to fuck the dead body of like any of my friends or family? No.
Your
Yeah.
body is protected now because we all have your non-consent on video, sir. So you're
Right.
good.
Well, it's not protected from the utilitarians. If they see some benefit in
Yeah, exactly. I hope that people are rhetoric, but if we take rhetoric as just what ends up persuading someone, I hope people end up getting persuaded by logically sound arguments. And I hope that people do not end up getting swayed by non-sound arguments. Like it's so basic. It sounds hilarious. It needs to be said.
Do you ever think it's okay for someone to say you've already proven the logical part of an argument, right? And that's sealed up, and you still have not got them. Is it now okay to recognize someone's emotions against them and now say, so I have to put you into like a chokehold emotionally in order to get you here?
So this is where so I have a view on this. This is where I think that the emotional rhetoric, or whether it be comedy or whatnot, or etc., the emotional rhetoric has a place. It's fine if you've already won on substance. If you've already won on the logic, if you've already demonstrated your premises, if you've already shown that the conclusion follows, if that's fine, it's okay to put the cherry on top. Right? That's fine.
Well,
what's not fine? Wait, just 1 second. What's not fine is if you're losing on substance. If you
start playing piano.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're in a position where you're actually losing the debate, you're losing, like you can't address an argument, you can't address premises, you can't show that you can't refute anything. And then you start grasping for rhetorical flourishes. Like that's just going to be cringe. Like that, that's the worst.
I agree with that, but also there's just one part of what you said that I didn't totally agree with, but I don't think you'll disagree once I say it, because you said rhetoric's okay in the case you've already won, but I mean it's okay in more cases than that. Like, first of all, we should just clarify, like, what's okay is just going to be relative to what your preferences are, right? Like, okay is a normative term. I just take it that okay just means like what I approve of, right? So, it's not like I only approve of rhetoric when it's used like after you've secured the victory. Like, look, if you're making a point and you're doing your best to be fair and debate honestly, but it just happens to be fucking hilarious, like, you don't have to not be funny. Like, you don't have, it's
no,
just like
that's fine. That's
use.
That's not what
rhetoric.
I take. Yeah.
I know. I knew you'd agree once I say it, but it's just, I just want to point out, like, it's more something like the deliberate use of rhetoric to substitute for actually having an argument that's fucking annoying. Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't like. Yeah.
Okay. Can I give you an example really quick of where I've actually seen this at play? So there's this really good debater we have. His name is Zen Shapiro, right? And what I used to do, I used to turn, and you don't have to agree with this, obviously, I used to turn atheists into cannibals. I just made you eat the body, right? It's only until I met Zen that he started making people into necrophiliacs, if you know what I mean. And that's like where
we have a debate coming up with him, so you'll see where that goes.
Exactly. exactly. But I think that was the harder flashbang in their face to make them say, okay, yes, this is wrong in the argument, in the line, because he leads you there logically, you still don't agree, and now he just has to shotgun it in the face with that whole rhetoric, like you just said. That's just the example I've seen.
When are you talking about, like, he gets people to sign off on the idea that necrophilia is like acceptable or something like this?
Yeah, that's exactly what he does.
He does it soundly, and they, there's this guy named Devin Reviews. We've had him on, so I'm not lying here, where we had him on video saying, yeah, it's cool. And that was a weird moment.
Well, I can on some level understand what both sides are doing. Like, first of all, I don't know that that's just rhetoric. Like, this is going to depend on your views on a bunch of things. But like, when you're having debates about no, there he is in the chat.
Speak of the devil.
Yeah, I mean, there's if the whole goal is to if the goal is about shifting people's preferences or something like that, if that's the kind of discussion you're having, like you're not so much just trying to, maybe there's other goals maybe you'd have, like just trying to establish the truth of something, right? If you're having like a let's determine what's preferable kind of conversation, then it doesn't seem like it's just rhetoric to me to tease out entailments of someone's view and go like, is this actually preferable to you? Like that just seems like a fair move, right? And if necrophilia happens to have more of an effect than cannibalism, then so be it. I don't necessarily think that's rhetoric. Although I'd have to see exactly what he's doing to know. And then one other thing.
No, it's simple ways. Yeah, no, it's just like if you only value sentience, then you're entailed to not care about necrophilia, or because you don't, because they're not sentient beings.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, like, I just wanted to do justice to the necrophiles here. Like, I mean, if you ask me personally, like, I used to try to have more of a structured normative system. And if you put me on the spot, like I'll still say the closest approximation is threshold deontology. I think that's true. It's way closer than something like utilitarianism. But I don't how do I say it? I don't really have like so much of a structured normative theory anymore. Like I just kind of talk about what my preferences are. And I don't particularly like necrophilia. Like generally speaking, I'd rather people don't. I understand how utilitarian could get there, but just to do justice to the necrophiles or whatever, like, do I care about some random person defiling the dead body of some other person who is like okay with it if it doesn't really cause anyone to be upset or create any, like, doesn't make any suffering? Not particularly. Do I want people to fuck my dead body? No, I'd rather you not. Do I want them to fuck the dead body of like any of my friends or family? No. So I'm just saying I'm not going to like universally quantify over every instance of necrophilia and be like, yeah, that's something I am opposed to. In fact, you would end up in kind of crazy places if you did that. But
well, your body's
not
protected
a fan
now.
of necrophilia.
Your body is protected now because we all have your non-consent on video, sir. So you're
Right.
good.
Well, it's not protected from the utilitarians. If they see some benefit in,
yeah, exactly,
necrophile attacking me or whatever, I'm
utilitarians
kind of fucked. No
are coming for your dead body.
Right.
Well, so I mean, I guess that kind of gets to the heart of it, right? Maybe the reason that arguments like that are so effective, even if they don't make that much sense when you start to think them out, is kind of that that knee-jerk reaction that a person hears from another. If another person says, yes, it's okay to have sex with a dead body, right? It's kind of a revolting thought, you know what I mean? And I could see where that would emotionally turn a lot of people off to whatever that person's saying, right?
I can see why it would, but I don't even know that it's just knee-jerk. Like, a lot of people might kind of maintain that thought even after analysis, right? Like you guys seem to have, right? Presumably you've actually thought about his dead body stuff a bit and still aren't fans of necrophilia. So surely it's like more than just a knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people, right? Not that you were saying otherwise, but
no, I completely agree. I just think when that comes out, if you're in a debate, for instance, and that's drawn out of the person, they have to kind of bite that logical bullet. And suddenly it's, yeah, I don't see a big problem with having sex with a dead body. I just think that kind of the revulsion from the people who are watching it, it tugs that heartstring so hard that it's such an optically bad. It just optically is bad. You know what I mean? I guess that's the point we're getting at.
Well, I can see that, but there's one other thing that might be worth noting there, which is like, if your goal is persuasion, and I don't know that I am even really focused much on persuasion when I debate, to be totally honest. It sounds like everyone here shares that goal to a like way higher degree than I do. But if your goal is persuasion, you probably want to make sure that you're using, if you're using like reductios like that, right? Ones that are going to stick upon analysis, right? Like if it turns out, for instance, I don't know if this is the case with necrophilia or not, but if it turns out that the reductio is something that people initially feel appalled by, but then upon analysis don't care about, like that probably isn't going to serve you that well, right? It'll like seem good for a while, but to the extent that it gets popularized, people are just going to kind of realize they don't like care about it that much.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense to me. I guess we're kind of just doing it, we're looking at it just from a purely surface level of a person hearing that for the first time. You know, let's say they tune into a debate for the very first time,
right,
and that's what they hear. You could see why they would be instantly off put to anybody who would say that, regardless of whether the argument was sound or not sound. I guess that's all I'm really getting at with when it comes to persuasion. And like you said, maybe that's not very important to you when when you debate or when you argue or whatever. But I think that for a lot of people, persuasion is kind of a key reason that they do debates. Would you kind of agree that that's true? Or
it's, in my experience, a lot of people really do care about it, and I'm not saying I care like not at all about it. I just don't. I don't like to be held to the standard of making sure to say things that are persuasive. Like, at the end of the day, when I'm debating, I just end up being more focused on whether I agree with the thing that's being said, whether I think it makes sense, and I just don't. I don't really care to like keep rhetoric and all this kind of shit in my head. Like, I'd rather just have fun and just have an honest interaction and see where that goes.